Hello, my loves. Stasha Washburn here, the period coach, and I am here today to talk to my coaches. So, if you are a coach who has clients who menstruate, so by and large, a lot of us in my community are women, and we coach women who are oftentimes of menstruating year age. There are absolutely outliers. There are men and women and transsexual and everything else in between that falls in different places and categories. But if you are a coach who works with people who menstruate, this is for you. We're going to talk about how important it is for your clients to have some knowledge of cycles, whether you cycle or not, frankly. Your clients are depending upon you, right? Now, you might be a coach that is working that's doing relationship coaching, or maybe you're doing color therapy, or maybe you're doing acupuncture, or maybe you're doing any myriad of things in the world out there. Knowing where your clients are in their cycle can really help you tailor and assign the correct homework, shall we say, or heart work, depending on how you like to call it. So we have these beautiful clients who we want to see the absolute best for. We want to know that we're doing right by them, and we want to know that we're doing the best that we can, and above all else, we want to know that we're not doing any harm. The problem is that when we get into these places, we're assigning people the wrong things at the wrong time, and an example of that is in the menstrual phase, during a woman's period, giving them an assignment like a fast or a sugar cleanse or a meticulous data or creating systems for themselves or writing out SOPs or a lot of different things. Pretty big, a boot camp class, right? There's just so many things that we could be working through. Maybe you're an EFT coach and you're working with your clients and this is their menstrual phase, and it is just absolutely not the time to sit down and say, go have a hard conversation, or let's tap about something really specific and intense instead of letting your client's intuition guide them at that phase. There's just so many ways that we can improve our clients' success, long-term success as well as short-term success, because if we're building in habits that go with their cycle and their flow, they're far more likely to stick and commit to them. There's so many things that we can be doing. So the other side of the coin is that you're most likely going to be the only person in their life that sees them potentially having a hormonal imbalance. You may be the only person with any awareness to know that they could be doing better for themselves, for their health, for their well-being, for their happiness, mentally, the whole nine yards. You might have a client that you're working with, you're an IBS coach, and it turns out it's not IBS, it's actually their period, and it's actually hormonal. And I can't tell you how many clients I've had that spent a lot of time dealing with IBS only to find out it was actually hormonal. So it's an actual thing that happens out there. On top of that, we need health coaches or period coaches in the world, people who are specifically focused on period coaching, specializing in things like PMS, PMDD, endometriosis, infertility, fertility. I mean, just every aspect of periods needs specialization and needs help. Fibroids, cysts, right? There's all of these things, getting off of the pill safely, transitioning off of hormonal birth control safely, alternatives. There's so many different facets. We need to fill the gap. So one thing that I wanted to just talk about here real quickly is in my book, I have a little bit about the period coaching school in the end. And just something I wanted to read to you guys is, do you want to support women with your business? This is for anyone who works with or wants to work with women and or menstruators. Since almost all women will have a hormonal imbalance at some point in their lives, we need to be trained to help them. No matter what your coaching specialty, from health coaching to intuitive coaching, knowing how to help your clients with flow is a requirement. Plus, you'll also need to run your own business with flow. You need to practice what you'll be soon preaching. As you see the recommendations in this book start to work for you, you'll know that you can't keep this information a secret. So, when you have your clients, you could really be the lifesaver for them. You could be the one that's saying, hey, having that conversation, taking the taboo off the table. You're talking to your clients from a full perspective, I certainly hope, of health and wellness. How's your period is a valid question, and having answers from them, you're able to say, ooh, that might be something you should look into deeper, or, that's actually something that can be fixed. You don't have to be an expert period coach to do that. You can simply help your clients in flow, and that awareness of their own cycles and working with their own flow is going to help resolve a lot of these problems. Women have hormonal imbalances. 90% have hormonal imbalances at some point in their life. You could be the one that says, hey, it doesn't have to be like this. It can be better. And at the same time, you're making your coaching more effective. You're making your work more effective. So let's talk about the menstrual phase real quickly. Some of the things that you should be looking out for with your clients is if they're having a real hard time struggling during the menstrual phase. So if they're having a lot of brain fog, a lot of fatigue, they're not showing up or no showing, and it tends to be around their menstrual cycle, around their menstrual phase of their cycle. Listen for them to talk about things like a heavy cycle, if it's too heavy. You don't have to define these terms. In fact, you shouldn't be defining these terms. But if you're hearing things that trigger an alarm for you, help them. Share knowledge with them. Help at least share some resources with them, okay? There's definitely ways that you can help, but you are a competent set of eyes and ears on the ground in a society full of people who have no idea that this is even a thing. So you're here. You have the ability. You have the knowledge. You have the brains, and you have a business that's working with women. You have all of the things you need in order to help. Take note. So when you're doing your intake forms, ask, where are you in your cycle? Do you take hormonal birth control? Do you know where you are in your cycle? Is your cycle good? Do you have symptoms? Easy things. I have a client who works with women, works with anybody actually, doing tiny homes, downsizing, being more eco-friendly, efficient, these kinds of things. She also helps people run businesses that are in alignment with that minimalist, honest perspective. So she talks to all of her clients and asks them about their cycles, and she works with them, with their cycles. So when I'm saying, it doesn't matter what you do for a living, you absolutely can apply this and help your clients. I really mean it. Look for those things in their menstrual phase, and then by all things holy, please don't give somebody in their menstrual phase physically, emotionally challenging homework. Give them something intuitive. Give them something that taps into themselves. Give them permission to rest. Give them the space to do the things that they need to do. Give them ways of supporting themselves in this phase. Maybe you have a journal support that you use in your program. Maybe one of your tools is, there's so many tools, journal, EFT, meditation, so many tools out there. So use the tools and the modalities you have, but choose them with consciousness and awareness so that your clients are able to actually use that information and get results. You are going to just make your client feel like a failure if you're assigning them the wrong things at the wrong time. Or the right things at the wrong time, actually, is probably a better way to say that. Because I'm not saying don't do that challenge, don't do that cleanse. Just save it for a more appropriate phase of the cycle. So if your clients are in that menstrual phase, give them that space. Give them assignments or work that is in alignment with that cycle. And go back and listen to that first video that I did on the menstrual phase. What does that sound like to you? What jives with that winter element, with that water element, with that winter season? What jives with you? What in your toolbox, what will help your client that fits in that idea of that introvert, new moon, nourishing phase of the cycle? Start there. Look at your work. You're an expert at what you do. You know your work best. Integrate this knowledge. All right. We're going to do this again tomorrow. We're going to talk about the follicular phase and how we can use that with working with our clients. Won't be as much background this next one, I promise. But I hope that gives you a good idea of what we're talking about here and starts to create some sparks and some ideas for you. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.